Hi, welcome to Power to the Flower. Thanks for joining me today on my Zone 9 gardening channel. It is the beginning of June. We have a party going on this afternoon, so I thought it would be a great day to kind of make everything cute down here, and I just wanted to bring you along with me. So let's get going. One thing is adding plants into established pots and how I do that, and maybe also just a few decorative things. All right, so let's start by adding some cute plants into established pots. So what I usually carry around with me is a bucket, which has my favorite roots layer spade, also Sure Start fertilizer, and then a bunch of other random things that I always need, like scissors, sometimes a rag to wipe down the pot, also some ties, and my gloves. Also, I have some pruners, and I keep one of these little brooms in here because it's just oh so handy. Oh, and then the last thing I carry around is an empty bucket to put all of the garbage, the green waste in. So we're gonna start here. So this was a pot that turned into one of my favorites. It last year had a Diplodina in the middle with some red blooms. I've since found that in my garden, this plant does not rebloom. Let me just show you. There's one that I've left in this container down here. This is it. It was a staked Diplodina with these amazing red blooms, and I planted this leather leaf fern around the outside, and I wanted to see if this would winter over, and it did, but it just doesn't seem to have enough oomph to go ahead and bloom again. So I'll be pulling this out. I think I planted for the winter some pansies in here, as well as a beautiful ornamental kale, which since has expired, and I've pulled that out, and I put this lotus in here when this was in a sunnier position, but now it's kind of just looking scraggly. So I'm going to change the lotus to a full sun location. This is filtered sun / shade. So the ferns, I think, are going to be super happy, and I purchased a bunch of begonias, some dark leaf begonias with a variety of bloom types. I think there's red as well, hot pink and white. These are just your like average 6-pack that you can buy anywhere, and this is a great cheap option to plant and decorate your kind of established pots, but they maybe need a little bit of color. Use violas or pansies in the winter and begonias or impatiens in the summer. So let's get going. Now we have, oh look, we have 3. So I'm gonna actually move this over so that it is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So we have 1, 2, 3. And I'm just gonna cut it right down the middle. Whoa, it's really in there. It's happy. So I want to just move it just slightly over. Oh, this is an old root ball from something else that lived in here before. There we go. So I'm going to add a little compost as well to just keep the pot going strong. I always do that when I'm adding to established pots. I just add a little bit of compost, which gives it lots of nutrients. So you can see I moved this over so it's a little bit more balanced, don't you think? And now what I'm gonna do is add in some of these begonias into the space. So, give a little bit more life there. Now let's go down to the next one. So the root ball is not much. So we have some fern bits that didn't do so good, but it looks like there might be some new growth under there. Let's take the debris out and then have a look at what we have going on. All right, so looking at this one, it's more like the fern is growing in the back and we have a lot of space in the front. So I think what I'm gonna do is turn it like that, and then I'll just fill this entire front with begonias. It'll be different, but good. So 2 whites in the back, and then 4 pinks, 2 hot pinks and 2 pinks in the middle. Let's put some soil. Okay, you could easily put another couple in here, but I'm gonna stop there because I wanna save the ones that I have. I didn't have enough for these other pots over here. Okay, let's head on down. So these are violas and pansies are actually a winter and fall, kind of spring and fall time bloomer. So they're done. So I'm gonna pull them out, and actually you can see they have a bunch of powdery mildew all over them. So I'm gonna get rid of them. And I'm actually gonna dump the whole soil out, because I don't want to propagate the powdery mildew. This is a cute little sphere thing that I made. This is when the rag would come in handy. Okay, it's all clean, wiped up. I'm just gonna settle it in there. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna add some fertilizer. And then I'm gonna try and plant this around and in. Because it's hard, they'll break. That's what happened last time. I broke all my pansies off. So I think what I'm gonna do is put it like this, and then I'm gonna put the soil in. I think we're gonna stop there. So everything has soil around it. So Abutilon is turning into one of my favorite plants. This Abutilon is called Apricot, and it's supposed to get to about 3 to 5 feet tall. So potentially that could like go maybe all the way up to the top of the door, but they're very easy to keep trimmed. And so my goal is to kind of keep it in this zone in terms of height. I really enjoyed its kind of tangerine colored blooms that turn sort of, that go a little bit yellow, but with tangerine veins. I have another one of these plants over here. Let me show it to you. And it has just been so versatile. They seem to really enjoy morning sun and afternoon shade now that it's getting warm. But I've also had these plants in bright shade location, and they have done super great. So as you can see, they bloom their heads off. They're easy to kind of keep at the level that you want in terms of height. This one is a dwarf. It's only supposed to get to about 18 inches, but I've trimmed down the top and it's bulked out. So that's what I'm anticipating to do with this one over here. The Abutilon is an evergreen shrub, zones 9 and above, I believe, but I'll put on the screen. In terms of watering, those pots over there are self-watering, and they've been great. So kind of average watering needs, but good to know that they can tolerate, even through the winter, self-watering pots. So let's go ahead and get this one in here. My goal is to stick it right here in the middle. So let me show you how I go about doing that. My first idea is to remove the ivy and give myself some room. The Bacopa is kind of growing all over the place, so we might need to trim that down. What I'm gonna do is remove all this soil Make a little hole for myself, add some fertilizer, and then pop this guy in there. And I'm gonna smush it, and then just pop it down. There you go. Just wanna make sure it gets down to the bottom so there isn't an air hole. I'm gonna remove some soil and put my ivy back in. And we are good to go. Actually, while I'm looking at this, I think I'm gonna move this purple guy over because he's actually quite close to the polka dot plant. And bring it around the side here so we can see it better. How's that? Good. Kind of nice contrast there. And then at this point, we would have a look at everything and make sure, actually, I might just move this one over as well, because now that we have this center of the Abutilon, how's that? Could even move this one back, but I don't think so, because that'll give it some room. Okay, so how's that? This area gets filtered sun all day, but it's quite cool and shady. So we have a Monrovia Purple Prince alternifera, which is this guy, and this says partial sun and shade. It's an annual, fast growing, and needs about 1 to 3 hours of morning sun, which this, like I said, filtered sun all day is perfectly fine. It's supposed to get 10 to 16 inches tall and wide. It seems to be a fairly slow grower in this pot. I also have a polka dot plant here, which wasn't labeled but is Proven Winners brand. I'm loving the color that it's adding, and I thought it would be fun because of these kind of, are these called bracts? They're kind of a similar peachy color. I have some ivy with a little bit more of a yellow color rather than the white. That was fun. And then this is a Bacopa, which isn't flowering at the moment. I'm gonna start giving it some bloom food, which often brings the blooms out. So we'll have to see if that helps anything here. And there you go. That brings us to the end of this video. Thanks so much for joining me today as I got some stuff done around the garden. I hope that was helpful in terms of thinking about adding fun color to your established pots. I'll see you in the next one. I post videos every Tuesday, but you can find me on Instagram and Facebook during the week. Bye.